Hey, Kristen, uh, doing this podcast from from the same house in a different room.
Different room.
Anything for audio. I appreciate it.
Hmm.
Audio and video, the things you do for a podcast. I know we just got back from an epic adventure in Italy, honeymoon part two, but we're going back in time a little more to our epic adventure in Iceland, honeymoon part one. Yes, we did a two-part honeymoon. I guess we're a little unusual, but want to
I don't
have
know.
a.
I feel like that's the thing. A
Is
lot of
it?
couples I've heard who've gotten married recently are like delaying their honeymoon or doing it like a two-parter and like extending it for like a year. So we're not that unusual,
Oh, see, I
according to my
actually.
friends.
Okay, interesting. I actually never heard that before. I know we were trying to take an even bigger trip, and we actually broke it down into two smaller pieces in two different locations. So that's how we ended up with part one, part two. But yeah, Iceland was absolutely incredible. Second time I went, first time for you. And for people listening to this, we are going to tell you all about our adventure as well as intertwine some really good advice and some travel tips if you're looking to go or if you know anybody that is looking to go. We learned a lot. We spoke to a lot of people beforehand, especially myself on this podcast. So a big shout out to all of you. I know Kiana Sue was a really big guest for me, especially when it came to planning our trip to Iceland. Since then, we've had Skool Beans on the podcast. That was a great episode. Um, we met Holly there, the founder and creator of Skool Beans, and we'll talk about that momentarily. But yeah, so Iceland, Kristen, what was your
Hmm.
overall quick assessment of Iceland?
Iceland was exactly what I expected it to be. If there was any expectations, we did a lot of research, but it was an awesome trip. I would definitely say 10 out of 10, despite the Iceland weather that we
Yeah.
had for the time of year. So I can't beat it.
Yeah. So when it comes to Iceland, first tip would be figure out when you want to go and what's important to you. Because when you go in the winter time, the weather can be brutal. It can be up and down. You never know what you're going to get. Roads are going to be closed. But that's when you're going to have access to see the northern lights and to do more with the glaciers and the glacier caves like we got to do. If you go in the summer, also with the winter, well, I want to hit on is a little cheaper. And money comes into play a lot when it comes to Iceland. And in the summer is when you get the close to 24-hour daylight. You get a lot more greenery. You get weather that's definitely more doable, less road closures. It's going to be a little more enjoyable, but you're going to pay a lot more too because there's a lot more tourists and you will not see the northern lights at all from probably mid to end of April to the beginning of October or so because there's just no darkness. The northern lights are there, you just can't see them. So you got to figure out what's important to you. I've been to Iceland twice, as I said. I went in March, mid March, the first time about 6 or 7 years ago. Definitely saw the northern lights. It was great. It was crazy. The weather was just as insane when we went in April. It was April 4th. We left,
Hmm.
got there, flew overnight. So we got there on the 5th and came back on the 11th, I believe. So it was just about a week. And for the most part, for people listening to this that have temperature in Fahrenheit, it was low 40s for the most part, and low 40s
Fair,
up.
Fahrenheit. It wasn't cold though. It did not feel terribly cold. I was never like, I'm freezing. It was mostly just wind and then the rain, which was what
Right.
made it a little difficult.
Yeah. There. I mean, besides perhaps that moment on the glacier when we were a little wet, I don't think there was any moments where like, oh my god, I can't feel my fingers, I can't feel my hands. Like it was never like a bite to it. Um,
Now, even that hike we did in the pouring rain up the hill, I mean, we'll get to
right.
that hike, but we did it. It was pouring rain and it wasn't like it was too cold to do it.
Right. Yep. And so another tip as we move along here, another tip. I want to give, and Kristen hit on this, is especially for the gas stations, bring a debit card or a credit card and have a PIN number for your credit card
If you're renting a car.
if you're renting a car, because the gas stations require you to have a PIN number on your credit card. I know it's a debit card, but make sure you have it for your credit card. We called ahead of time our Chase Sapphire. We use that sometimes to travel, and we called and got a PIN number for our credit card, because when you fill up at the gas stations, they're going to ask for a PIN number. So
And it takes about 7 business days because they mail it to you. They don't just email it or tell it to you over the phone. They actually mail you a PIN number, and you can change that number once they mail it to you. You can change it to something you're going to remember, but make sure you do that ahead of time because it takes about 7 business days for them to mail it to you.
Yep, that's a great tip. And that's a tip we found just at the nick of time. We got that PIN number like a day or two before we left. So for anybody listening to this and is going to go to Iceland, definitely know that. Another tip that I would recommend is something we've gotten pretty good at, is like taking screenshots of where you want to go, addresses, phone numbers, Google Maps, everything, because internet, Wi-Fi, data, all that stuff is extremely spotty, especially if you're not paying for it and you're just looking for Wi-Fi occasionally. Do all that stuff ahead of time, because a lot of times you are in the middle of nowhere.
If you make an itinerary and you're in Google, if you have a Google Sheets or you have some type of like cloud-based itinerary, that's what we use to make all of our trip plans. We made an Iceland one, and we had different tabs, where that's where Ryan put in screenshots of maps. That's where we put all of our like hotel confirmation information. Did we pay for it? Just kind of have it all mapped out. And then I think also what we did that was helpful was had a breakdown of like the currency exchange. So we had a ballpark idea of what we were spending. And we'll get to that too later on just the kind of cost difference and what things
Yeah, credit to you for
cost.
that. That little thing, like what's $1, what's $5, what's $10, what's 15, 20, stuff
I
like
couldn't
that.
remember for the life of me what
That was good.
$5 was.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, I appreciate you doing that. That was huge. But yeah, let's get rolling here. Our trip to Iceland, our honeymoon to Iceland. So, as I say, our honeymoon, yes, we found a few ways to splurge. Well, we understand that money can be tight for some people. We saved for months for this. We got married in September and took our first honeymoon beginning of April. So we were saving and saving and saving. We wanted to make this special, as well as our trip to Italy that we just took, which we'll do a future podcast on. So, Kristen, you made the call to schedule the spa and retreat at the Blue Lagoon. So, another tip is when you land in Reykjavik, which 99.9% of the people that go to Iceland will do, either do the Blue Lagoon first or do it last on your way out. So because the Blue Lagoon's only 15, 20 minutes from the airport, you might as well do it then, because you don't have to go all the way back to the airport. And the airport's about 40 minutes away from Reykjavik, actually.
Yeah, it's not actually in like the city of Reykjavik. You're outside of the city.
Right. So we landed at the we landed in Reykjavik airport, and the first thing we did was, hey, let's do the Blue Lagoon. We're here. We're going to start this off with a nice, relaxing day, which was great because we flew the red eye. So there was really no better way to start this trip. It was magical. The Blue Lagoon is awesome. We'll get momentarily into a bit about the Sky Lagoon. I don't want to confuse that. So the Blue Lagoon's the one that I'm sure you've seen pictures of it. The water is that blue. It is amazing. And wow, like one of a kind resort for sure. And so, Kristen, as I said, you had the idea to, I guess, pony up a little bit to get the exclusive spa and retreat for our honeymoon. And I kind of grimaced a little bit at the price, you know, that definitely costly, but I will definitely say that afterwards, it was worth it. It was awesome. And because that was your idea, I want you to kind of talk about that.
Okay. So we obviously took a red eye, basically. It was only a 5 hour flight from JFK, but we had to get to JFK, took a red eye. So taking that overnight flight, getting into Iceland at like 9 a.m., my thoughts were, why do we want to start our trip with kind of like a hectic waiting in line access to the Blue Lagoon, kind of entering with a bunch of people, not, not arriving in Iceland and then having to say, all right, I'll see you in a separate changing room kind of thing. I wanted us to have a little bit more time together. And so the retreat spot is a separate access to the Blue Lagoon that you can purchase. And it's like a 5 hour window that you purchase to have access to the retreat spot at the Blue Lagoon, which is basically like a whole separate section. And they actually have a hotel access to it as well. And you basically go kind of like to the underground of the Blue Lagoon. You have access to the lava caves and just like these beautiful changing rooms. So it was a changing room for two. That was almost like a mini hotel room that was like just for me and Ryan, where we can like store our luggage, and then we could get dressed. We had our robes. It was a beautiful like double waterfall shower, had all the different soaps and body oils in there. It was like a spa itself, just in like the private changing room and bathroom that we had. And then we got into our robes and we were able to walk through, have our own private access to the Blue Lagoon, our own separate dining area that was like a little spa dining room that overlooked the Blue Lagoon. And then the lava cave that had the fire pit with like the nap pods in it, and the cold pool, the sauna, the steam room. What else am I missing that was down there? It was just stunning.
The ritual room.
Oh yeah, the 5 step ritual of all the body scrubs that you do, and they kind of walk you through it. They hand you each scrub, and then at the end there's you shower in between every scrub with these beautiful waterfall water showers, and then the body oil at the end. It was awesome. It was so relaxing. It was the best way to start that trip after having that overnight flight. We just kind of relaxed. We felt very pampered. Everyone was so nice there. Couldn't bring your phone, which I think you tried to hack that one a little bit.
Can't take pictures.
Yeah. Can't take photos.
Yeah.
But then you can actually access the Blue Lagoon as well. So you have like your own personal Blue Lagoon that was wonderful, but then you could go into the main Blue Lagoon with everyone else that goes to the other side of it. It's like the public Blue Lagoon, and you can do kind of that experience where you have the masks and everything, and the swim up bar, which was really cool. It was very crowded. But overall, it was just really nice. And you still had a lot of space. Surprisingly, like how busy it was, you still had a lot of space to move around.
Yeah. So don't get us wrong. If you can't afford or don't want to do the spa and retreat, it is still absolutely worth doing the Blue Lagoon, just the main public entrance. Just know you're going to have to shower like everybody else. You do have to get completely naked to get all the oils off of you before you get into the water. Whereas we, as you mentioned, we had our own private bathroom, changing room, stored all of our stuff there, which was great. And yeah, it was basically part of the Blue Lagoon that's kind of like cut off where no one else can get into unless you pay that extra for the spa and retreat for those 5 hours. So if you don't really want to run into anybody, there is hardly anybody in that water too. So it's a rather large area too of the Blue Lagoon. You're just walking around, you get these little bridges and stuff. It is awesome. I will admit, like I said, it was worth the price of admission to upgrade that. I don't know where this falls in the rankings of spas and retreats in the world, but it certainly felt like the best one. It was
well, and we
awesome.
also, I think another part of my thinking with booking that, Ryan, was because we had like 8 hours to kill because we were staying at the Silica Hotel that night, right? So we were getting in at 9 a.m. I wasn't about to just stay in the public area of the Blue Lagoon for 6 hours. So it was like, okay, we can stay at the retreat spot for the 5 hours. By the time we got the rental car and everything, 5 hours, that got us to our check-in at the Silica Hotel. So just timing wise, it was just a really nice start to the trip to have everything kind of blended together and have that be like our special kind of spa day that was just really relaxing. We didn't have to rush. We didn't have to feel that we were like having to go from one place to the other. It was just a very relaxing way to do
Hmm.
it. So if you start your first day at the Blue Lagoon, or if you want to stay at the Silica Hotel, which is the smaller hotel from the Blue Lagoon, really, I personally think affordable, and it's absolutely beautiful. The breakfast is amazing. And you also have your own private lagoon there. Um, I think that's a great way to start the trip or end the trip is doing the Blue Lagoon paired with one of the hotels. So you kind of have that full access to the area.
Yeah, I want to hit on that just a little more. As you mentioned, we stayed at the Silica Hotel, the Silica Lagoon, which is basically like the sister restaurant to the really restaurant, the sister hotel to the really big resort hotel at the Blue Lagoon for maybe a fourth of the price, a third or a fourth of the price. I mean, it still felt really decently high class.
And that got us a discount for the retreat spa.
Right. Yep. Um, yeah, also, as you mentioned, like, was it you get a free drink at the Silica Hotel if you book the Silica Hotel, like a welcome drink. You get a
Mm-hmm.
free drink at the Blue Lagoon as well, the swim bar that you mentioned. You get the what 3 masks for your face as well. That's also included. The Silica Hotel. I mean, I'll put it out there. I think it cost us what six or six
That
fifty.
also included dinner at the Lava restaurant
Right,
in the Blue
exactly,
Lagoon as well,
exactly. Which is a pretty high class
with a free drink
restaurant.
at dinner.
Yep. So Silica Hotel, I recommend it. That was a really good call. I will say, to me, probably not worth spending the extra money to get the view of the little
Oh, the
lagoon where you can't even.
the lagoon, the
Yeah,
lagoon view.
yeah. The view. I mean, we had the lava rocks right outside of our room, which was well, we weren't even in the room that often. We were out at dinner. We were out the Blue Lagoon, and we crashed, and the view didn't really matter to us. And every view, and there's like a view of the mountain too, which really isn't that spectacular. So, in my opinion, save your money, just get the cheaper view. The hotel was great. The people were wonderful. The breakfast
Yeah.
was great. Breakfast is something that's going to be a common theme throughout this entire podcast on every single day. But yeah, the Silica Hotel, definitely worth it. Highly recommended. Great way to start the trip. The spa and retreat, awesome. I know some people are hesitant, like, oh, the Blue Lagoon, it's like touristy. I don't know if I really want to do that. Or what you think of the Blue Lagoon just in general?
I I liked it. I thought it was very clean considering how many people, how many bodies are in that thing. Um, very clean. Felt like I had my own space. I was really happy we did it. It was really really nice.
Mhm.
It was definitely the experience that you think of when you hear about the Blue Lagoon and going to the Blue Lagoon. Obviously, my first experience doing this is your second experience doing the Blue Lagoon. My experience was very nice because we had kind of that private access. So I would definitely do that again. I'm I'd rather not be rushed and have my own space and kind of do that way if I had a choice.
Yeah, it was a really wonderful experience. I've never personally done anything like that before. It's opened my eyes to consider doing that stuff more again. I would for sure do that again at the Blue Lagoon. I know a popular thing is people do layovers in Iceland, and with the Blue Lagoon right being near the airport. 100%, I would do that again if we were going somewhere else in Europe, for sure. And so let's go ahead and hit on the next day. We wake up at the Silica Hotel. Yes, we did rent a car. We rented it from Thrifty, which was right near the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Recommend it. They were super nice. They picked us up at the airport. They were great, super friendly, really
Mm-hmm.
easy. No real, yeah. We just booked it through the Chase portal. Um,
Not
and
that
our
expensive too, considering what we've had to pay for cars on some of our other trips.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, not bad at all for 6 days.
yeah. So I would recommend Thrifty. Our Chase, we booked that through the Chase portal, I believe, and that also covers car insurance. So just know
And
that.
they had a shuttle that I don't know if you just said that, but they had a shuttle that picked us up from the
Yep.
airport and
Yep.
returned us to the airport timing wise didn't have to wait for a thing. It was wonderful.
Yep, they were great. And so what we did, what is a common theme for the most part, I believe, is when you're leaving Reykjavik, it's a great time to do the Golden Circle. And then it's exactly what we did on our second day. We did the Golden Circle. We kind of skipped Reykjavik knowing that we were going to come back to it before we left. And the Golden Circle, it was great. Honestly, I enjoyed it more this time than I did last time when I was on a tour bus. The tour bus is a great way to see Iceland, but you're kind of on their schedule. You got to leave whenever. If it's a crappy weather, you can't just hang out and hold on for the sun to come out, which happens all the time in Iceland. The weather's consistently changing. And so what was the first thing that we did on the Golden Circle? What was the first thing that we saw?
So we started the Golden Circle doing that national park. Gonna butcher the name, but maybe it's Pingvillir. Pingvillir.
It looks like a P. It looks like a P.
I don't know. I don't know if they pronounce P's that way, but it's that national park that has the the continental split in it.
The divide, the tectonic
the
plates.
divide.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. I know something really popular over there we kind of looked into, but not too much, was the scuba diving. You can scuba dive or snorkel in the crystal clear waters of where like the kind of plates are separated, if you will. That gets a lot of good reviews. People love doing that. We did not do that. This stop here was cool. Don't need any more, 30 minutes maybe? Just kind of check it out, walk around. Wasn't much
I
to
imagine
it.
you could do much more hikes, but I think the weather was just kind of great. The wind was really bad, and the rain was kind of coming and going, and we had a bunch of stops. It was our first stop, so we just kind of walked to this one viewpoint and walked out. But what you were talking about, Ryan, was the Silfra snorkeling on that tectonic plate. So it looked super cool. It's probably very cold. But that's where you would do that. And there's like a nice little visitor center there.
Mm-hmm.
And an eatery if you want to get coffee while you walk. There's like a cafe and stuff. So that was a quick stop. You have to pay for parking there. Pretty much you have to pay for every place you park in Iceland, like any viewpoint, any national park, or any like geyser. Everywhere we went, you pretty much had to pay for parking.
And what's really nice too, honestly, is Iceland is kind of built on tourism. So they do a great job of knowing that people are going to be at all these places. So Wi-Fi is always available when you pull up to like any of these places, any of these cafes, rest areas, stops, national parks. There's always Wi-Fi available. So as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, there's not a whole lot of anything in between, but when you do stop, there are a lot of places for free Wi-Fi. So that is super helpful. And so, yeah, I mean, not much happening there. It was cool to get out. It was cool to see, walk around, get some history, learn a little bit about the land where you have North America and Europe divided. But then we got back in the car, we kept driving, and I was super excited to introduce to you the bread at Fontana's. So for anybody, I've mentioned this before in our podcast, and you may have even seen this, is they bake their bread underground because it is so hot, and they boil eggs there in the water and whatnot. It's crazy.
I think you would have been so upset if we couldn't stop there. You had your eyes like peeled for it. I don't know how you found it, but we were just driving. You're like, I think that's the bread place that we turned around.
Yeah, it's called Fontana. So for anybody that is doing the Golden Circle, it is after the Pingvillir and before the geyser. You're going to see like there's like a few stores or some kind of I don't know, some kind of an area with multiple places.
Basically.
Yeah, and it says Fontana's. I don't know if it's bakery, but yeah, there's also a place to go swimming in the hot springs, and it's a really cool place. But yeah, no, I had that bread maybe 6 or 7 years ago when I was there with my dad, and I was like, wow, that was incredible. It's like what type of bread is it? It's like a molasses type of bread.
It's like a molassesy bread, yeah.
It's delicious. Great place to stop for lunch. They
do tours if you have the time to sign up for a tour to tour the geothermal area and see how the bread is made. But we didn't really have time. Kind of stopped there on a whim.
Yep. Yeah, that was, I mean, I enjoyed it. It was delicious. You can also get some and bring some along your road trip as well. So highly recommend stopping there. And then the next stop was the geyser. I know we've all seen
Hmm.
photos and videos of the geyser. What did you think about that?
It's cool. Very, very cool. Easy to walk around. Again, more trails that we could have probably did if we had enough
Mhm,
time. Um, but super cool to watch it kind of go off and kind of see everyone's reactions too.
mhm.
That's always a fun part is to see how people experience kind of seeing a geyser for the first time. So it was super cool.
Yeah, there's a whole like honestly a whole slew of geysers there, but there's that one,
Yeah.
the stroker it's called that it goes off every few minutes. So
Hmm.
you're guaranteed to see it. Just pull
Yeah.
over your car and you'll as soon as you start walking on the land, you'll see all this water like near you boiling and steaming and all that stuff. It's cool. And then you go walk up to the stroker geyser. Yeah, you'll see it go off as many times as you want to stand there. If you want to bring your camera, get some video, super
Yeah.
cool. And yeah, it was rainy for us at this point. The rain was just on and off this whole day. So it was also very muddy. So walking, there's more trails, there's things to see. If we
Hmm.
had more time there, we would have really enjoyed that. So I would recommend what hour and a half or so at the geyser. There's also a really nice gift shop there with cafe and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So it's a good place to stop. Really enjoyable.
Yeah.
And so we got in our car and drove another maybe 20, 25 minutes. This whole Golden Circle thing just takes a few hours. The most of your time is actually going to be when you get out. So driving this within a day, I would say this is definitely a really good, solid day. And so we
Hmm.
got out at Gulfus, which is the double decker waterfall. And that's when the sun came out. And we got shots of the rainbow. It was absolutely beautiful. What was your thoughts on Gulfus?
It was awesome. I've never been to like, Niagara Falls or anything like that. It was awesome. That was so cool, very beautiful, so powerful. Because everything was kind of melting. So it was a very, very strong, powerful waterfall. I think couldn't have been more perfect with the rainbows
Hmm.
showing through. So we got really lucky with some of our photos, but really nice. I mean, wasn't too cold. I think part of the trail was closed off.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, super cool. Really, really nice.
Yep. So yeah, I imagine when it's summer, when it's warmer, you can probably even get closer to the waterfall. We were able to do that because the weather was still kind of dicey, but 100% worth it. It is really cool. And like you said, the sun came out, rainbows over the waterfall.
Mhm.
It was yeah, it made the trip that the Golden Circle for us. That was a beautiful place, great stop. Need no more than probably 30 to 60 minutes, but there's all these different ledges and trails and areas you can walk around to see the waterfall from different angles. And then we hopped back in the car. I know you really wanted to go to the soup place.
Yeah, it
You
was
want to
closed
mention
by the
that?
time. Yeah, so the soup place, they do bread and the tomato, their famous tomato soup. I love a good bowl of tomato soup, and it would have been probably perfect for the rainy, cold day. But they were closed by the time we got there. So if you're trying to add that into your trip on the Golden Circle, just plan your route accordingly so that you get to it before like 4 o'clock. Because I think that's around the time. I think we got in around like 5 or something, so it was like just closing. And unfortunately, we couldn't make it, but we still had other sites to see along the Golden Circle anyway, so we weren't going to really be there for long. So we our next stop was the Carrot Crater.
Yeah. So, well, real quick, the soup place was it free? Is it
Oh gosh,
Freeheimer?
Friedheimer. Just type if you just Google the soup place in Iceland, the tomato soup place on the Golden Circle, you'll find it.
I want to give them some love because I know we brought it up. I know you
I
really wanted to
know.
go, but it was closed. Yeah, I think one thing when you start planning a trip for Iceland, good luck in pronouncing all of these places. It's extremely difficult. So we're gonna butcher so many names. So I think we got this one, the Carrot Crater,
Hmm.
which is probably an hour away from the waterfall, kind of almost finishing up the Golden Circle, if you will. We never closed the loop because we ended up staying around that area and then driving south. But yeah, we went to the Carrot Crater, which I thought was a really cool stop. I enjoyed it. You park your car, walk right up to this little hill, and all of a sudden you're overlooking a crater with blue water right in the middle of it, and you learn
And
about
it
it
was
was
frozen when we were there.
Yeah, it was a volcano that kind of imploded on itself. That's why the crater is there. We walked around it. You can walk down into it. It was cool. I thought it was really cool. We got some great photos there. It's pretty colorful. Definitely recommend a stop there, but maybe only for like an hour, hour and a half maximum. Just kind of walk around, check it out, learn a lot about the area. But yeah, I mean, that kind of ended our Golden Circle day. I know that's kind of like the touristy thing to do. A lot of people that live in Iceland don't really do that as often. They hype it up a lot. They're checking out other areas of Iceland, but it was really enjoyable. I know you really enjoyed it. It was a nice day. It was a fun day. It's an easy drive. It's great to stop at all
Hmm.
these places. You get a good feel of Iceland. But yeah, it was great. And then we ended up staying at Hotel Grimsborgir, which is
Yes.
right near the crater. It was rated very well. It was one of those luxury hotels, but I honestly don't know if it was luxury. What are your
I
thoughts?
think, yeah, I think it's not. I think maybe they'll get there. It was certainly like nice in the room and everything, but we didn't do the dinner, and we're not really. I don't know. It just wasn't our kind of style, our uh, luxury style hotel. I mean, it was very basic to me, if you
Mhm.
would consider that luxury. So maybe they'll get there. Not quite sure how to classify it, but it was comfortable. I think it had everything we needed. The staff there recommended a really neat place to grab dinner, which was it was in Selfoss. And I'm trying to think of the name, but it was that green roof building that was basically a food hall.
Was it like the White
Um,
Church or something like that?
um,
The White
Let me
the White
see.
House? The White House?
It's in Selfoss. It's called the Old Dairy.
The Old Dairy. I don't know where I'm getting that
The
from.
Old Dairy in Selfoss. So
So
super
Selfoss is
cool.
20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes
Yeah,
away. Yeah.
yeah. Really easy to get to if you're driving. Had everything, had from a brew tap room to a wine bar to pizza to Korean food to
I had
tacos,
kebabs.
and
I had lamb
yeah,
kebabs.
you had kebabs, so it had just about everything. Had burgers, and the pizza, and a pasta bar. It was really, really nice. Much better than trying to eat at the hotel that was like super expensive. We were very, you know, cautious and conscious about where we chose to eat because every meal was very, very expensive. But honestly, I don't think the food hall was honestly that outrageous. Um,
No, it was kind of normal priced. Like I said, only
mhm,
15, 20 minute drive. It seemed like Selfoss was, every area in Iceland beside Reykjavik is kind of small, but this is kind of like an up and growing trendy area.
mhm.
There was places to eat, places to stop, get food, get lunch, supermarkets, stuff like that. So
Yeah, I liked it. If
Selfoss,
we had more time there, it would have been a nice kind of like home base to kind of go back to and be like, oh, okay. Because I think we even mentioned that on the way back, like if we had time, we'd stop in Selfoss.
mhm.
But I think we ended up just driving right through it.
Yeah, so anybody who's looking to explore Iceland, the Golden Circle, and to keep going, I think Selfoss is a really good base to stay either in or nearby, as it probably has about everything you need. It's also where we filled up on gas too. So yeah, that place was really cool. I was not really expecting that for Iceland, but that really worked in our favor. And yeah, so the one thing I did like about the Hotel Grimsberger was it was a couple miles inland from the main road and very quiet, very peaceful,
Hmm.
very dark. And I imagine it'd be an amazing place to see the Northern Lights if they were out. It was a bit of a cloudy night for us, so that didn't happen. But yeah, it was pretty remote, which I really enjoyed. And they're also building new places and stuff like that. So perhaps they're even more up and coming stuff.
Yeah.
It was good. I think we hyped it up a little bit, especially after coming from the Silica Hotel, and that was luxury and stuff. So it was good. It just wasn't on that level, I guess I should say.
And
Um,
this Silica Hotel was also like the last time we slept in like the same bed because all the other hotels had twin beds.
yeah, honeymoon, right?
So
Honeymoon in separate beds.
honeymoon and separate. Every time we FaceTimed our family, they're like, "Why are you guys in separate beds?
I
Isn't this your honeymoon?"
thought the key to a
But
happy marriage was separate bathrooms, not separate beds.
that was a common thing. I don't know what we were thinking when we booked, but I didn't try to book it twin rooms, but
I think
just
it's one of
went
those
up there.
things where we asked for a queen bed if possible, but I don't think it was possible in so many of these locations. But
Yeah.
do you remember if breakfast was included at the hotel Grimsborgir?
It was included. It was a buffet
Hmm.
style. Not my favorite. I'm not like a huge breakfast there was the eggs, beans, and sausage, which
And the
honestly to
the
me,
skier
and the
yogurt was really good.
skier,
Yeah.
which the eggs, beans, and sausage to me is kind of more British or UK based to me. But it was good. I at least tried it because it just seemed to be very what they all served. But yeah,
Mhm.
the skier was really good. Simple basic breakfast
Yeah, I mean,
there.
if you like yogurt and your nuts and the berries and stuff like that, like you'll have no problem finding food
Hmm.
and breakfast that you'll like in Iceland. Not just hitting on the Hotel Grimsberger, but in general, I really want to make this point. I think this is a good piece of advice. Book hotels where breakfast is included or that at least offers, because once you are gone for the day, it either may be hard to find food or good food, and it may be extremely expensive. So that was something we did that I loved was we woke up, we had breakfast at the hotels because they were included. We, I guess you can say, really kind of filled ourselves a little bit so we could hold out throughout the day with just kind of like a few snacks, hold ourselves over until dinner because the food in Iceland is very expensive. It is not cheap. And honestly, it's kind of hit or miss sometimes, especially in the quality of the food, what you're getting for how much you're paying for. So yeah, I definitely recommend finding places in Iceland that serve breakfast. We did that every single morning. We had breakfast either 8, 9, 10 o'clock, and it held us over for quite some time, saved us a boatload of money. Would you agree?
Hmm. Yeah, and I would just add to that is if when you're looking at hotels and you have the time to do it, read the reviews on the breakfast because it may offer breakfast, but it might suck. So if you're going to choose a hotel with breakfast, maybe just read the reviews and see if people have commented and say that the breakfast is really good. Because I know they said that for the Silica Hotel. Grimsberger, I'm not sure if they did or not. But the Foss Hotel and did we end up getting breakfast at the one in Vic, Kria? Yeah, we did. Kria was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get
So
there. We're not there yet.
yeah,
We're not there yet. All right,
yeah.
moving on to the next day though. So we woke up the Hotel Grimsberger. We drove to Selfoss, get ourselves some gas. Stop number one. Let's see if we can pronounce this. The
I'll let you do it.
Seljalandsfoss waterfall. Everyone knows this as the waterfall you can walk behind in Iceland. First thing was first. So this was only like an hour, hour and a half in from like Selfoss or so. Was the wind was just ripping. We were at a lean forward to make it to this place. So all these places, you kind of park your car and you're walking for a couple of minutes. You
Mhm.
can see the waterfalls from the road, which is super cool. Unfortunately, this time of year, that trail to walk behind the waterfall was closed. We could not do that. Apparently, it's just for footing. They don't people safety. They don't want
It's
people
a
walking
very
around.
powerful waterfall, so you do not want to fall.
I would have done it. I would have walked behind it, but it was not an option. It said closed. So we'll have to get rid of that sign in all of our photos. But super cool waterfall, right? I mean, it's pretty unique. Iceland has thousands of waterfalls. It's definitely one of the more unique ones. Would have loved to be able to walk behind it. But yeah, no, it's super cool to be
Hmm.
there. There's a lot of people. Just know there's a lot of people. So the
Yeah.
earlier you get there, the better. But yeah, it was kind of another rainy day for us.
Hmm.
But no, what did you think about that waterfall?
It was beautiful. It was awesome. I love waterfalls. Just taking all the different photos, different angles, and just seeing how the water just like where it's coming from and all the like, how it splits off. Super cool, and
Mhm.
it was amazing. It was almost like we were in Waterfall Alley because we just kept walking down the path, and there was another one, and there was another one. It's like
Mhm.
more and more waterfalls, not just that one, which I thought was cool.
So that's a tip that I want to give people as well is when you're at this waterfall, go to your left and keep following the trail. You will see more waterfalls, and then you'll come across another main waterfall, which is a 5 or 6 minute walk from the main one called, I don't even know. It's a it starts with GLJ, Gljúfrafoss, maybe waterfall.
Blue, I don't know how to, I don't know. I can't say it.
Gljúfrafoss is a waterfall that is within walking
Foss means
distance.
waterfall,
Oh,
right?
there you go.
Foss means
That's
waterfall.
that would make sense. That would definitely make sense. I thought that was really cool is to find this waterfall, and you kind of gotta like there's a creek there, and you gotta like walk in the creek a little bit around these rocks into a cave, and you can walk right under this waterfall. It is just slamming on rocks. You can get as close as you want to get. We got some really cool photos and videos there because you're literally like inside this cave. That was really cool. I thought that was
It was
awesome.
fun. And it, honestly, because we were soaked anyway, it didn't matter if we got wet
Yeah.
off the waterfall.
Wear a
with the
rain
rain.
jacket to this one. Even on a sunny day, wear a rain jacket into this one for sure.
Yeah. One thing I would recommend for Iceland is I wear a raincoat that's longer to cover, like that covers your like lower hat, like as low as you would like it to go that you're comfortable. Because if it's not, your pants are just gonna get soaked. I mean, the rain just comes at you at all angles in Iceland. Wear pants that either dry quickly or the rainproof, like waterproof pants, not just I don't know other pants that are quick dry or rainproof, but something that's going to actually repel the water,
Mm-hmm.
not soak up the water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gear for Iceland is huge. It can help make or break your trip. Like I said, it depends what time you go, but always prepare for the rain or the water because you just never know. Any time of year, you can get soaked. The waterfalls are for real. So if you're near the waterfalls, you're probably going to get wet. So
Yeah.
definitely plan for that for sure. But yeah,
Don't
that
bother with
waterfall,
an umbrella.
right? Yeah, the wind will rip it. Yeah,
Yeah.
the wind is for real. We'll get there in just a moment. But yeah, that was a nice little gem that people don't really talk about. And after that, we hit the road again. Did not drive very far until we came across Skogafoss, which was one of the main ones again.
Mm-hmm.
That's ginormous. This waterfall is
Yeah.
ginormous. You walk right up to it, and or you can walk up the stairs next to it, which gets a little lofty. It's not too bad though. It's probably what 7, 8, 10 minutes to get up to the top of the waterfall, and you can see the waterfall from the top.
That was probably my favorite waterfall of the day, just because the stairs going all the way to the top, and you could keep going and just kind of follow it
There's
along.
trails
I
up there. Yep.
loved that. I wish we had more time to do that. That was really, really cool. One thing I love about Iceland is I don't feel like I'm going to get attacked by a bear. So hiking on the trails in the wide open spaces is more calming than glacier.
The Glacier National Park. Yeah. If you haven't heard that story, go back and listen to our Glacier Park. But yeah, no, it was really cool. When you get to the top there, you can walk around, and it was one of those dreary days in Iceland. The whole day was kind of dreary. So, it was a lot of clouds. We couldn't see very far from the distance. So yeah, it was cool to walk around up there, but our views were kind of limited. On a beautiful day, I can imagine it's awesome. Give yourself some time at Skogafoss to check out the waterfall, go up those stairs, and keep walking, keep checking it out. So definitely recommend probably a couple hours there, honestly, on a beautiful day. And then we hopped in the car. We drove to Vic, the infamous Vic, not too far away from Skogafoss. This is all definitely doable within one day. We didn't stretch ourselves too thin. But as we
And
mentioned,
we stopped through when we got to Vic, we stopped at the lookout and the lighthouse.
Yep. Yep.
Which is when the weather got really bad and rainy and windy. How fast were the winds? 85 miles an hour?
Yeah, there was gusts there that were I was getting slightly nervous and getting blown over this ledge here. So do me a favor, can you look up the name of that waterfall as I'm talking, or not the waterfall, the lighthouse? As
I have it. I don't know how to say
oh, I see it.
It's not dry.
Dyrhólaey lookout and lighthouse
But you can put all the names in
in the show
the
notes.
notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. But yeah, just Google like Vic Lookout and Lighthouse. Yeah, the wind was absolutely ripping, and I'm not even exaggerating. We were getting blown sideways up there. Besides that, really cool location. It's really beautiful to see the black sand beach from above, and even more of Iceland, the cool rock structures. And I imagine that's a really good place to see puffins as well. And the puffins come
Mm.
in May. We were just before puffin season. Recommend the lighthouse. It's just before you get to Vic if you're coming from the north. And yeah, I would recommend 30, 40, 50
And
minutes
there's
up there.
walking trails. You can
Yeah.
still walk it. We just didn't. I mean, it was just too windy. It's too
It
windy,
was
too
it was
rainy.
brutal. It was brutal. I don't know. Do we have video of how bad that wind was?
Hmm.
I don't know if I felt comfortable taking my phone out. We were getting blown sideways.
Yeah, I did. I took it.
But yeah, we wanted to do more in Vic that day. But the weather was just kind of brutal and we needed to keep moving. But one of the highlights of the trip was going to Skool Beans and meeting Holly, the owner of Skool Beans, who I've had on the podcast since. So please check that episode just a couple episodes ago. So highly recommend it. It was a great conversation with her. Kristen, I know you were the one who found this school bus. But once you start Googling Iceland and start planning a trip, this school bus will pop up everywhere on your feeds and Instagram feeds and social media. It is popular and it is awesome. I know you really enjoyed that. I'll let you talk about that real quick.
Yeah, so it's not like a traveling school bus, I don't believe, right? It's she's just parked. I mean, she's
She's
forever
parked.
parked
Yeah, she's
in
parked
that
up.
location. It's right on the main strip in Vic, right behind the Hotel Kria, which is actually where we stayed. So where you see that one church up on the hill in Vic, it's right
Mhm.
below the red and white church. Oh my gosh, cutest bus with all the best goodies inside of it. It was super homey. I mean, we just walked right up, and I mean, decent space in there and heating. There's a fireplace, and yeah, the menu. I saw the Instagram. I had this, and I was like, we have to make this happen. We have to go to Skool Beans and get a coffee there. So I'm glad we were able to make it before they close. And then the only time next time we were going to be back in Vic is when they were actually closed on Monday. So I'm so
On
glad we
Mondays.
were able to fit it in on the Friday. Plus, it warmed us up. It was so cold and rainy that we were able to get in and get a nice seat and enjoy some. I had the hot chocolate, and you had like a pumpkin
The
coffee,
pumpkin
right?
party. Yeah. It's
Pumpkin
delicious.
party.
It's like a
Yeah.
dessert in a cup. You can get regular coffee or you can do the more delectable dessert coffees. It was awesome. It was also a great break from the tough
Hmm.
weather. You'll see, like you said, it's behind the Hotel Kria, and there's flashing signs in the window, school beans, like school beans, school beans. So if you see the flashing light with the school bus, you know it's open. 100% recommend it. I would definitely go in multiple times. I know they serve like bagels and stuff like that too. So and then say hello to Holly. Say Ryan sent you from the Pursuit of Happiness podcast, and she'll know exactly who you're talking about. I wish they had that here. I'd go more
Yeah.
often. And Holly's great. Just a great person too. So
Such a cool story. I loved hearing how she made her dream come true. I
mm,
mean, how freaking cool that.
mm,
She's a badass. Love what she does and what she's come
mm.
up with. So
Yeah. So the weather was still brutal. We were there for maybe an hour or so. The weather was brutal. We needed to hit the road. So the problem when you go in like the winter is like you don't know if roads are going to be closed. So we're like, yeah, we need to keep trucking here because we have another couple more hours to get to our destination for that night, which was the Foss Hotel Glacier Lagoon. We needed to get there. Oh, so we're going along the south coast here. We really needed to get there because we had the glacier caves with ice pick journeys the next day. So we drove. It probably wasn't. Yeah, no, 2 hours away from Vic to the Foss Hotel Glacier Lagoon, which is just before you get to the Glacier Lagoon, probably like 20 minutes away. It is kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it's extremely nice. It's a really nice hotel. The restaurants was like really nice. I was
Hmm.
surprised at kind of like how like upscale this was. It
Yeah.
was great. It was really good.
Hmm. Yeah, that even had they even had like a sauna and a hot tub and everything
Yeah.
at the Foss Hotel. That was included in the stay.
Yeah. And so if you're driving along the South Coast and you need a place to crash, you're looking for a place to stay to break up your trip, would definitely recommend the Foss Hotel. I know we got a decent price through the Venture X portal. That's how we booked it, was through the Venture X portal or Capital One. And yeah, it was decently priced. As we mentioned before, food's gonna be expensive. Drinks are definitely gonna be expensive. There's a great place. There's great cocktails there. I know we had wine,
Hmm.
whatnot, and yeah, just to hit on this again, one, food is expensive. Two, alcohol is even more expensive because of the importation tax. The tax on alcohol. How much was like a glass of wine there?
Started at like maybe 15, $16 US dollars.
And we just went to Italy and a glass of wine was like what, $4? Like something
Yeah.
like that. Like it's if you're gonna be doing alcohol in Iceland, good for you. It's gonna cost a lot of money.
If
So
if you don't care where it comes from, get it at the airport.
like
Get it
duty
at
free.
duty free.
Uh-huh.
It is the cheapest at the airport. That is what you should do if you're a beer drinker, wine, get it there. Liquor, get it at the airport. Do not get it at the grocery stores or if you want to treat yourself while you're out to dinner, that's one thing, but it's going to cost you.
Yeah. It makes a reasonable dinner. Like, hold on, what's the
I
bill?
mean, our burger, I mean, we just got simple burgers or the soup place. What, right? I got the soup kind of tester, and then you got one
That
bowl
was
of
in
soup,
Vic. Yeah, we got the
and it
soup
was
was in
forty
Vic.
dollars.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
$40 for soup and water.
Well, that's crazy. That's another good tip. All right. Tips galore here in this. Bring a water bottle. Bring a water bottle with you to Iceland because water is free everywhere and it's like the best water in the world. It's all from glaciers, it's all natural. So you don't need to keep buying water everywhere you go. Bring a bottle with you and fill it up wherever you are. It is free in Iceland, which I loved because when we just went to Italy, water was not free anywhere. You had to pay for water everywhere, but water is free in Iceland. Take advantage of that. Bring a water bottle. Cannot recommend that enough. Another thing is too is that what we did was we brought our like hydro flasks. So basically, if you get coffee at your hotel or whatever, it stays warm throughout the day. And your road trips, definitely recommend bringing like one of your hydro flasks as well. And so, yeah, we stayed at the Foss Hotel, would recommend that. We use that as a base for a few nights. We woke up Saturday morning and then we had our epic ice pick journey. I know seeing the glacier caves was number one or two on my bucket list, like, period. Not even just in Iceland, just to do it. And that's something that ate me alive since the last time I went to Iceland is I could not go into an ice cave. There was no time. It wasn't part of the tour. Really wanted to do that. I saw all the cool pictures of people going in ice caves, and I was so jealous I couldn't do it. So I had Ryan Newburn on a year and a half ago now, the Straw Hat Backpacker. He was on my podcast. Since then, we've kept in touch. He started a company called Ice Pick Journey with his friend Mike, who he met backpacking across Japan. And they have their own cool little business. Yeah, they are professional photographers and they are professional glacier guides. We had Mike take us out on the glacier. I don't know how to pronounce it. Vatnajökull, Vatnajökull or something. I don't know, but so yeah. So was it we parked at the Glacier Lagoon area, and then we hopped with Mike, just me and you. Well, I'll get to that in just a second. How it was a small group, just me and you, onto his badass Jeep
Oh
that
yeah.
took us off road onto this into the area of the glacier. So that's another about 40-45 minutes with Mike, just me and you. And then we parked the glacier. There's probably another 30 to 45-minute walk to get to the glacier, would you say, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, one of a kind experience for sure. Now, I will say we have had experience with glaciers before on the Matanuska Glacier in Alaska with mica guides. We talked about that in a previous podcast. That was the adventure of a lifetime. Uh, that was one of my favorite days of my life. Honestly, it was unbelievable. So we booked the Ice Pick Journey Glacier with Mike and Ryan Newburn. I would say this is probably a little different from what we experienced in Alaska, where this is
Mhm.
more of we're going to bring you to the coolest places and get you the coolest photos that you'll ever have. And the feedback on the photos I've gotten is like, that's freaking incredible. Like where we were was mind blowing. One thing that we didn't do, and I really wonder if we should have, I don't know, is you can zip line across the glacier crevice. It goes down like 100, 150 feet or so. So if you see people running and jumping and going across the glacier, it's probably Ice Pick Journey where we were. Would you do that today, Kristen?
No,
You still want to do it? Okay.
no, I would have liked to do some type of like climbing and more rappelling like we did um in Alaska. I thought that was just super cool. And plus I have a climbing background, but it was still beautiful, awesome. It's amazing the ice in the glacier was so different than the one in Matanuska. They were
Mhm.
very complete. I mean, even though they're both glaciers, very large glaciers, they were both very different, and
Mhm.
it seemed like the navigation of it was a lot different too.
Yeah, and just to make it clear, Ice Pick Journey, they have all these different packages of
Mhm.
climbing, rappelling, zip lining, going into the caves. I believe you can do overnight stays with them too, like on the glacier or somewhere on some
That
kind
would
of
be
a
super cool.
trek or
Yeah,
journey. Mike was an absolute badass.
yeah.
He was awesome.
He knows his stuff.
The thing I loved about the glacier guides, and not just in Iceland but Alaska, they take it very serious. It can be dangerous in these glaciers. And I will say, going in April is the very, very end of going into the glacier caves because it gets warm and they start to melt. So in our photos and videos, you'll see a lot of like running water, whether that's on the floor or just the cave above us, kind of dripping a little bit because it's above freezing. So it is gradually starting to melt. And then that wall collapses at some point over the summer. And then the cave behind it moves forward. And that's when they have the cave for next year. So just know that if you go in like February or March, you're going to have a more solid concrete cave without as much running water. So you can like walk along the whole ground. Whereas we were semi limited where you can walk because water was just kind of gushing from the miles of glacier in the back. The water was just running underneath us. Regardless, once in a lifetime experience to be inside of a glacier. Just the photos that we got were like looking up and touching the ice and stuff. We were actually like looking at the ice and just like seeing bits and
You can,
pieces
yeah.
inside it.
Hmm.
It was wow. It was like a different planet. It really was. It was so unique. And props to Mike, and I know Ryan's the same when it comes to like getting photos. Like they know where to take you, like how to pose you, get over here. Hey, we're gonna get some cool shots here. The photos came out great. They are
Yeah.
definitely professional grade. Um, Here's another thing to consider, and I would say consider this above all else is one, you're gonna get professional photos, but two, our group was just me and you.
Yeah.
Do you
That was
remember? Do you
major.
remember? It was after or before we showed
It
up.
was
How many
right
people were there?
after. Right after there was like a group of 20, but two groups of 20 had like just showed up. It was
It's
nuts.
I mean, if that's the only way you can see it, good for you. That's great. But that is not that fun. They're going to have so many people at the background. You're going to be waiting for people to get their photos and just sliding in between all that many people. It's not like it's totally spacious down there. So all yeah, I would not enjoy that. I probably would have been quite annoyed with that many people kind of lagging behind or in constantly in my photos. And
Hmm.
it was just me, you, and Mike in the glacier.
Yeah.
That's worth the price of admission by itself because we got all the shots we wanted to. We were not rushed. We took our time with everything. No one was in our way. And I would recommend that above all else. I know that, these other tour groups, they're the big ones. You Google, Glacier Caves, and they're going to come up probably first or whatever. Just know you might be in a group of 12, 15, 20 people, and it's not quite the same experience that we had with Mike. It was just me and you. We actually talked the whole time. We
Hmm.
had personal conversation with him. You got cool photos because of that. That was worth a lot. That was very, very valuable. And after we were in the glacier caves, we walked on the glacier for quite some time, and he brought us down into like the windy crevices. It was like a crystal palace almost, if you will. That was super cool. We did a very small rappelling. It was not Matanuska style. It wasn't anything like that. But we did have to rappel down a little bit into the glacier to get into the windy path of the glacier itself. And we got some amazing photos in there as well. Mike did a great job with the photos.
Yeah.
It's a place where I get it, when you're in one of these places, the beauty of it and the chances of you getting back there again, you want to capture that, if
Yeah.
if you do a terrible job of getting that, or something happens to your camera or whatever, like that stinks. I mean, it's great. You got photos. That's great. But we took no chances. We got some amazing, amazing photos. He did a great job with it. They professionally edited it as well. So
Hmm.
that was badass. Super happy I did that. So thank you, Mike. Thank you, Ryan. Definitely recommend Pic Journey. I'm going to put a link to their site below. Please contact them. Tell them I sent you. And you'll enjoy a one-of-a-kind experience with a very small group. Highly recommended. And that was so at the end of that, we went back to what the Fosshotel for just for a minute, and then
Hmm.
being so close to the Glacier Lagoon, that evening we went to the Glacier Lagoon. The sun peeked out a little bit, but it was still kind of dreary that day. But yeah, what did you think about the Glacier Lagoon?
Um, I I don't want to say it was like my favorite part of the day, but there were so many like favorite parts of the day. Like it kind of was like the icing on the cake after doing the glacier hike. We were right there and it was just very pretty. I mean, I think we were lucky enough because not all the time you're going to see the types of glaciers in the water. There were seals on, the ice floating in the water. I think it was just perfect. So we were really lucky to be able to see what we saw when we were there. Not everything was like melted away. So it was really pretty. It was amazing. I mean, just the color of everything. It wasn't even that crowded. I mean, there were people, but I didn't feel like we were on top of anybody. Like
I
we
bet
had
you it's
space.
bad in the summer, and the summer is probably
Probably.
bad. And it was also slightly drizzly, but yeah, Glacier Lagoon is super cool. You just park your car and you go rocket up to this, and it's
Hmm.
legit like it's where the glaciers break off, and you see these massive chunks and icebergs just slowly floating down into this little, I won't say it's a river, but it's this little area that hits into
Hmm.
the ocean. It's almost like a delta, if you will. Really cool place. Great place to get photos. Great place to just hang out, walk around on some trails and stuff like that. Very unique. I don't know
Yeah.
of many places like that, but yeah, super cool. And then,
Cool rocks, cool ice.
yep.
I loved it. I loved going to Diamond Beach too.
Yeah, so right on the other side of that. So if you've heard of Diamond Beach, you've seen the pictures of these ice little crystals on the beach, and a black sand beach. It is Diamond Beach. And so that is right across the main highway right there. Park your car, go walk on Diamond Beach. They're everywhere, right? The so what happens, I believe, is like the ocean waves pound on these icebergs as they come into the ocean. It breaks them into pieces, and then the chunks of ice just get left on the sand there. And
Hmm.
it's really, really cool. It's extremely pretty. Um, would definitely recommend just hanging out there, taking a nice walk, getting some great photos there. It's very scenic. So that's all right there in the Glacier Lagoon, Diamond Beach area. It's all right there. So that's as far uh, east as we went in Iceland. We would have loved to have done the entire ring road. Who knows? Maybe one of these days. But I
Yeah.
would say at the very least, if you're planning a trip to Iceland, you have to go as far as the Glacier Lagoon into that area. That was beautiful. That was super cool. And so right from there, we called it night. We went back to the Fosshotel. Once again, another great place to stay.
Mhm.
Woke up, and on the way back, so we ended up going. That was just like I said, as far as we went. We were going to work our way back gradually. And so the next day we woke up and we went into Skaftafell, which is the national park, right? And then
Mhm.
we hiked the Svartifoss
Yeah.
waterfall, Svartifoss, which I thought was awesome. The as you mentioned
I
earlier in
loved
this
it.
podcast, freaking we got pelted, like literally pelted with rain. I know you had it up to here with the rain and you were getting all sorts of wet and everything with your rain jacket and stuff. But um, for those of you who like to hike, you'll find it probably decently
Mhm.
easy. It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
For those of you who aren't much hikers or, wouldn't say you're in great shape, it's a little elevated, but it's fine.
You can hike it in regular shoes. It's not, there's nothing about it that's like tougher off-roady. There's a path
Mhm.
and it's very easy to hike even if you don't have hiking shoes. It's straight up. It's
It's
up
elevated.
and it's wet.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's raining and that's pretty, I mean, but you don't have to have any skill. You just take it slow if you're not an avid hiker.
Mhm.
But it is straight up in the beginning.
So there is a waterfall on the way to Svartifoss that people stop and get pictures at. I forget what it's called. It's not while you're there, but it's a cool place to stop. But you keep walking. What'd you say? It was about 45 minutes or so to get to the waterfall from the parking lot. I think it's about 45
Yeah,
minutes.
maybe. It was windy for us. It was windy and rainy, so probably took a little longer than I
So
don't know, maybe we sprinted it. So we were just
Svartifoss, yeah, well, yeah, there was a few times where we sprinted, but the Svartifoss, is one of the waterfalls. When you just Google Iceland waterfall, that comes up with all the basalt columns on both sides. And if you zoom out, it's literally like in the middle of like an open field. It just drops down in the middle of like nothing. Really cool. If
mhm.
that was a beautiful day, I can definitely see us have like to keep walking around there, checking the area out even more. But yeah, like I said, we were getting pelted. We have videos, we have photos of this. Uh, but that was fun. That was fun. That was a beautiful waterfall. Highly recommend going to see this. It is,
Yeah.
like I said, it's a little bit of a hike. Most of them you just park a car and walk right, and they're right there. This was more of a hike, but this was really cool. It was very, very unique with the basalt columns on both sides. You said you loved this, correct?
I did.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really cool. And so that is close. That is what, 20-25 minutes away from the Foss Hotel. So you're probably looking at about 45 minutes to an hour west of Glacier Lagoon, and it's on the way back to Vic. So after we did this Svartifoss waterfall hike, we worked our way back to Vic. And as I mentioned, we were just getting pelted with the rain. It was a really cool drive along the south coast because you're going to see all the lava fields. It's beautiful. You got glaciers off your outside your window that you can see from a distance. But it was a little tough to see there because we had a lot of clouds. It was pretty dreary that day. Definitely the rain was downpouring. The rain was so bad, we got to Vic that evening. We kind of called it quits, right? I mean, that was basically like we're not
Yeah,
going.
I mean, I kind of probably had like a little bit of a meltdown. It's just like my pants just got dry and I don't want to go back out into the rain. I just sat in wet pants for 2 hours in the car. So
Plus, nothing was really visible, right? I mean,
no, we couldn't see anything. There wasn't, I mean, we were gonna go to the black sand beach, but there wasn't anything for us to see. It was just pure downpour rain. I mean, we stood in the hallway of that grocery store hoping that it would let up and it never let up.
yeah.
So
So
I think
as
I was grateful that you finally succumbed to my my request.
Well, so as you mentioned before, last time we were in Vic, Hotel Kria. Well, that's exactly where we stayed. So, as I mentioned, we're
Yeah,
working our way back. So we stayed in Vic. We stayed in Hotel Kria. Really nice hotel. Everything in Iceland seems like new.
really
I mean,
nice.
it's kind of it's all touristy stuff, right? I mean, it's the tourist boom, and everything's been built in the last decade or two. But yeah, really nice. Skool Beans is in your backyard. We would have went again if they weren't closed on Mondays. Holly needs her days off, but yeah, we went again for sure. Hotel Korea was, I would say, was recommended. They have a really nice like bar restaurant. We just had dinner right there. It was really nice. It was honestly nice to have an evening in, honestly, after like so many adventures and
Hmm.
hikings and crazy rain and wind stories. The rain and wind, you've heard it multiple times. We got hit with it pretty hard.
Yeah.
Um, but so we had the plan and we looked at the weather, and the next morning we knew the sun was probably going to come out. So we said, hey, listen, we'll call it a night early. We're going to wake up super early and we're going to go to Black Sand Beach. That worked out extremely well in our favor. We woke up, 6:30 a.m. and we drove to the Black Sand Beach from Hotel Korea, which is about 20 minutes, maybe to get there. Hardly anyone there. And that's kind of a rarity, honestly. If you Google Black Sand Beach photos, you'll probably see a bunch of beautiful photos that people have been cut out of or whatever. But the real picture is like there's hundreds of people at the Black Sand Beach. It is just overridden with tourists. So, like most things, if you go to a tourist place, go as early as you can. We basically just went after the sun rose, and it was beautiful. It was awesome. I know you really like Black Sand Beach
Hmm.
too. Yeah.
Hmm.
And the one thing I think that's memorable to both of us is the waves. The waves were slamming on the basalt columns there. So the basalt columns there are a super popular landmark that people get pictures of, they stand on, they get photos of themselves. Just to give a picture, we could not even get to the basalt columns to
No.
stand on them because the waves were just slamming on them. The tide was high. So if you go later in the day, that's probably not an issue, but then you're going to deal with hundreds of people. So kind of almost like a pick your poison. And maybe it was just because of the weather that day too. We couldn't get all the way over there. We saw them, we got to them. You couldn't get on them except for this one guy, right? Do you
My
remember?
gosh. I I don't know how he didn't fall. I mean, I'm glad because that would have been really traumatic to see this. I'm stupid me would have probably tried to go save him. But yeah, glad he was fine. But no one should ever do that
So
ever.
quick, yeah, long story short. So there's like five people on the Black Sand Beach, including us. And this one guy and his buddy, this one guy climbs up the basalt columns where I'm talking about.
With like the cushy Adidas shoes, like the like not even hiking shoes. They were like the very like I don't even know what you call them, but like the dress Adidas shoes that are like just not.
Like the shell toes.
Yeah.
What an idiot. Just absolute idiot. When I say the waves were slamming on these, I literally mean that they were slamming on these. And the guy climbs up, tried to get photos. He almost got taken out by a wave. And he was probably 15 feet up, I would say.
Hmm.
So if he was not far off from that wave slamming him off the rocks. And yeah, we would have seen him just get slammed against the basalt
Yeah.
columns, and that wouldn't have been fun. One idiot.
There was
But
no rhyme or reason for like when the wave was going to hit really bad either. It was like you couldn't tell, which is why you don't go near the, the waves. You stay far enough out because you don't know when it was going to come in.
so they are
Yeah.
called sneaker waves. These waves in the Black Sand Beach that gradually will just come up and grab you. And apparently there's a lot of drownings and deaths every year. When I say a lot, it's probably just like numerous, but still, like it's something you really have to pay attention to because we were getting photos and it was like, okay, run, run, run. These waves would just come right up and like come and get you and just at least at the very least get your feet soaked, if not like kind of grab you a little bit. So something you really want to pay attention to, especially if you have kids at the Black Sand
Hmm.
Beach. You really got to pay attention to that. but the beauty is awesome. It is awesome. It's just a great place to walk along the black sand. You can see the lighthouse from up there, or from down there, I should say. Yeah, there's a cafe right there in Black Sand Beach, which wasn't open yet because we were there so early. But highly recommend getting there early. I think not getting on the basalt columns, it was outweighed by nobody. It was just beautiful seeing the sunrise. Uh, I loved it. We were only there for an hour or so, but I thought that was really cool. And then right after that, because of how treacherous our first time at the lighthouse was, we hit it up again with the sun, and that was awesome. That was great. We got to see the black sand beach from afar with the sunrise. It was awesome. So I highly recommend going to that lighthouse once again, especially when the weather is great. And from there, we made our way all the way back to Reykjavik.
Yeah.
So that was our morning, was spending it in Vic at the black sand. But we, like I said, we did it early. And it's a 2.5 hour drive back to Reykjavik.
It isn't bad at all. I mean,
No,
you
it's
drove
pretty easy.
the whole thing, but still.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. And I think we did this right, honestly. So we spent the morning in Vic. We left there probably about like 11 a.m. or so. So we got to Reykjavik early in the afternoon. I think you would agree when I say this, and you can tell we're wrapping up the trip here, is I think Reykjavik overall, it gets a half a day to a day, right? That's what you would probably give it.
Yeah.
And we got, I won't say lucky, we got maybe finally a little bit of fortune, but it was a beautiful day. It was almost 50 degrees. It was pure sunshine. We earned it after going through everything we went with the weather. It was a hell of a way to end the trip because it was just a really nice day to walk around. It was very comfortable. The first thing we did, we parked at the church. Can you get the name of that church? It's like Hall something. Appreciate it. Yeah, so we parked at the church and it was free. I don't know why it was free, but it was free, and we left our car there like the whole day. So there's
because it was it was Easter.
No, it was the day after. It was Monday.
Easter Monday. It was Easter Monday because we went the weekend of Easter, the week of Easter, and lots of things were closed. Remember on the Friday, or was it the Thursday? A lot of things were closed on the Thursday before Good Friday. And then on Monday, they didn't charge anyone for parking because of Easter Monday.
So maybe we just got lucky. But yeah, we snagged the spot there and we left the car there the whole day, and that was awesome.
Oh gosh, it's the Grimsborgir. Yeah. I can't say it.
I just wanted to make you say it.
Oh, really? Oh,
no, but that's it. I mean, it's iconic. You just Google Iceland church and you're going to see that. But it's iconic, beautiful church. It is modeled after the basalt columns throughout Iceland. So it's one of a kind architecture. And you take an elevator up to the top and you can see all of Reykjavik from the top. It's pretty cool. It's probably like $8, $10 a person to get up to the top and to get a one of a kind view. I think you got to do that. I think it's a great way. We started our Reykjavik tour that way. I think it's a great way just to kind of see it and then get down into it. So recommend going to the church real quick. You probably only need about 30 minutes up there, and then go ahead and start walk. The Rainbow Road, which is kind of popular now in Iceland. I believe that supports gay pride. I believe that's what it's for, is right down the street. Just keep walking straight from the church. The Opera House is also not too far at all. That's along the water. What's the Opera House called?
Icelandic opera, the Harpan.
No, yeah, that's it. Harpa. Yeah. The Harpa's there. And just a few minutes away is the Sun Voyager, which is kind of like that cool little what you call it, like a sculpture of a Viking ship that's around the water. That's super popular and famous as well. What else did we do in Reykjavik? What was your thoughts on Reykjavik overall?
What else? I got an Icelandic hot dog. Duh.
Oh yeah, hello. Duh.
Hello.
The Icelandic hot dogs.
Yeah.
Where was that at? So that was like, it's like the famous stand with the red booth that became famous because like Bill Clinton got a hot dog there.
Is that really?
Yeah, no, that's for real. Bill Clinton got a lamb. It's not a hot dog; it's a lamb dog, which I believe you thought was delicious, right? I had it too.
It was so good. I had it done the Icelandic way, which has, the sauces on it and the fried
Mhm.
onions. It was so delicious. And we also got smoothies from that smoothie place across the street, which going to a Icelandic smoothie bar that you can't read any of the ingredients.
But it was delicious. We picked the right
It was
ones.
we're like, is that strawberries?
The
That looks like banana.
the lamb dog stand. So this is all the way. It's closer to the lighthouse. This is more on the west side of Reykjavik. I can't pronounce it. Uh, Pio da Ritur. I don't know how to pronounce that. But the website is www.bbp.is. It is a very, very famous lamb dog stand. It's not super expensive either, honestly. Like if you wanted that to
It
be your
was
lunch,
$7.
yeah, that can be your lunch. Uh,
That was very cheap considering what we spent on things in Iceland, for sure.
absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, like I'm just going through the photos here. So yeah, we went to the opera house. You got to pay for the bathroom there, but super clean. So if you're like, hey, I need a break here, I need to grab a water, go to the bathroom. Great place. The opera house is going to do that. It's right in the
Hmm.
water right there. The Rainbow Road, as I mentioned. A place that we really wanted to go to, and we walked quite a distance to get there, was the Om Nom chocolate. We
Hmm.
saw that on Down to Earth with Zach Efron and Darren O'Lean. We really wanted to try that. It's a very unique coffee. Yeah, there's sort of coffee there too, but chocolate place because they have all these different types of flavors. And if you notice, Om Nom is like they were sold everywhere throughout Iceland. It's kind of like Iceland's chocolate factory, if you will. Really cool. We bought a bunch of chocolate there for gifts for family. They all loved them. We brought some home with
Hmm.
us.
I got
We
some
sent
ice cream there because
some
they had
ice
ice
cream.
cream.
Yeah, it's super delicious. And they had a bunch of stuff to taste there and try, which I had so much. It
Ryan
was
loves free samples,
yeah, I love my
especially when it's
chocolate
chocolate.
samples. Yeah, love my chocolate samples. Couldn't say no to that. But Om Nom chocolate's great. That's actually something. But how do you even consider buying that and having it shipped here? That was really, really good. I genuinely enjoyed that. And I know you really wanted to try the Einstock brewery.
Yes, yeah. I had looked up their beer. Really, really good, tasty beer. Nice little brew house we went to.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. Like I said, Reykjavik, there's more stuff there. I know the food tour is very
Hmm.
popular there. Reykjavik actually does have some really good food. We just weren't really there long enough to experience it.
Yeah.
Like as I mentioned, the food's kind of costly too, so just be aware of that. Reykjavik's it's like a cool big town. It's very safe, really nice to walk around. I enjoyed it. Lots of coffee places.
Hmm.
Yeah, really cool. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And so we capped off. This is the end of our trip. We capped off our trip with the Sky Lagoon. Once again, Kristen, I appreciate you doing research on this. So the Sky Lagoon is about 15 to 20 minutes outside of Reykjavik, but I believe people
It's
just say
like it's in Reykjavik, but it's like around the corner. It's like in Reykjavik, but just like kind of right outside.
yeah,
Like
a little peninsula
because it's
type of
on the
thing.
water. It's on the water. So even though part of Reykjavik's on the water, it's like you have to like leave, like get on the highway and kind of just go right down the road. So it's not like truly outside. It's just
Mhm.
kind of around the corner in Reykjavik.
Yes. So we started our trip with the Blue Lagoon. We ended it with the Sky Lagoon. Um, Different experience for sure. Both really cool. Both worth your time. The Sky Lagoon, it's I don't know. It's trendy, if you will, could be a word. More adult ish.
Yeah, they don't allow children under I think the age of 11 or
Okay.
13.
Okay.
Don't quote me on it, but I know that they have an age limit when it comes to children. Not for safety reasons, but I think it's just like an adult, more older
Hmm.
um hangout. And yeah, I liked it. I don't know if there's like a private package like we had for Blue Lagoon. We did buy like a like a couples package where we got that drink and then the like platter and the ritual
Mhm.
added to it. The ritual is different than the ritual at the Blue Lagoon, which we won't be able to talk about because we did not have time to do that. But as far as like access wise, you walk in and you get a wristband, and you are not able to wear your shoes into the locker rooms, and you have to walk into, you walk into the guys one, I walked into the women's one, and you get dressed in a public changing room with everyone there. They do have what separate showers, like cubby showers, so you don't have to like shower. But you do have to shower before you go into the Sky Lagoon. It was very dark, not well lit. So for me, it was a little hectic, and I felt really rushed to kind of like find where we had to go. And I didn't understand the instructions with even how to get to the ritual. No one pointed that out to us when we started. So that's kind of why to me it was like an afterthought. Like I
Mhm.
know when we walked in, they were like, we recommend you do this first because you want to save time to do this and you want to be able to do that. And it's like, I think by the time we got to everything, it like honestly wasn't enough time. Um, Especially because we wanted to see the sunset. And so if you want to see the sunset and then also have the platter, get your drink and enjoy kind of the space, that's why we missed out on the ritual too. Obviously, we were talking to people who were in the Sky Lagoon, but
Mhm.
it seemed a little bit rushed and a little bit less guided than Blue Lagoon to
So
me.
keep in mind, we booked almost the latest time, if not the latest time possible, to book
Mm-hmm.
the Sky Lagoon because you had to buy like tickets in advance. We did. We bought them in advance at least, knowing that one, we wanted to spend our whole day in Reykjavik, and two, we wanted to see the sunset at the Sky Lagoon. So the Sky Lagoon has like one of those like infinity pools that kind of like goes over the edge, literally overlooking the west. The sunset's in the west. So overlooking the water, the ocean there, and then the sun will literally set right there. You can watch the sun go down. So we wanted all of that. I think we booked at a great time. That was a
Mm-hmm.
perfect time to book, but it's only open so long. And with all that said, what you said, when we got drinks, we got the platter, um, and we wanted to get into the water and enjoy ourselves. And you get a free drink there, right? We swam up to the bar and we got a drink as well because that was also included in our package. We say the ritual. People are like, "What the hell is he talking about ritual?" So the ritual, just to break it down really quick, is they have a 7-step ritual, which is like the clay masks, the body scrubs, the cold plunge, like algae mask, anti-aging stuff, right? I mean, that's just kind of what
No,
it
it
is.
wasn't like the Blue Lagoons. It was like, let me pull it up real quick because it was
Sure.
much different than the Blue Lagoon.
But yeah, that's kind of basically what is we're talking about ritual. It's just kind of like stuff like that. But we did not have an opportunity to do it. We did have an opportunity. We just got kind of sidetracked a lot while we were there.
Yeah, we weren't expecting to um get in conversations with people and ended up meeting a couple that was like from Raleigh, which is like they were standing right next to us, which is insane.
Yeah, right.
Um, so it's you go to the Blue Lagoon or you go to the Sky Lagoon, that's you relax in the lagoon, and then you do a cold plunge, and then you do a sauna, and then you and sit in a cold fog mist, and then you do a body scrub, and then you go to the steam room, and then you shower and go back to the lagoon.
Okay.
So I truly don't feel like we missed out on that because I think the ritual at the Blue Lagoon was a lot more of a ritual where they guided you through it and they were like, take this scrub, rub it down with your whole body, sit there for a little bit, then rinse it off, and then come here. It
Mhm.
was I would much prefer the Blue Lagoon one than the Sky Lagoon one because to me, sitting out in a cold mist when it's already cold just doesn't sound fun.
I think we should do a quick episode at some point in the future. Sky Lagoon versus Blue Lagoon, pros and
Yeah,
cons, and maybe even pick a winner. But
yeah.
I will say the Sky Lagoon was a cool place. It's
Mm-hmm.
definitely like a hip place to go to. And I mean, shit, if it was around the corner from us, I'd be like, "What are you doing tonight? Hey, let's go to the Sky Lagoon. Let's go hang out
Yeah.
there." And it's cool because you are in the midst of like all these rocks like all around you. You're like swimming through these little cave patterns and stuff. Like it was really unique, really cool surroundings. I thought that was
Yeah.
really neat. And like I said, the infinity pool, there was it's a little smaller than the Blue Lagoon. So when you have about the same type of people, it feels slightly more crowded.
But you can't see anyone because of the
It's
mist.
because of a lot of fog and mist. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
the
the
fog
warm
and the mist, you
water.
can't see like anyone there. Everyone was so nice too. I think that's what made it very nice though, is
Mhm,
everyone at the Sky Lagoon was super nice. The
mhm.
people who were like in the water, like when you want to take photos and stuff, like people just seemed really friendly and just happy to be there.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like you were in anyone's way or anything like that. So it
Iceland
was
in general.
clear water. It wasn't the Blue Lagoon one, which want to make a very big comment right now. If you go to the Blue Lagoon and you're conscious about your hair, do not get your hair wet in the Blue Lagoon. It will damage your hair. It is silica, so it will dry your hair out. The Sky Lagoon was just your regular like geothermal water. It wasn't like didn't have the silica in it, and I got my hair wet and it was completely fine. So if you're worried about either, just keep your hair up.
Hmm. Good call. I appreciate that. Yeah, a lot of good tips and tricks throughout this podcast. And with Iceland, I feel like you need it. You have to have a plan, like I said, an idea of when you want to go, how long you want to be there, what you want to see, when you're going to stop, because there's few and far between, what you're going to eat, drink. That's something we do, and you're great at it. A lot of our trips, and I think this in Alaska was the best example. Is just bring in snacks, bring your own food as much as possible, because one, you are driving, and two, it's like I said, it is super expensive to eat in Iceland. So whenever you can kind of skate by or hold yourself over until a dinner or a big meal or something like that, it pays off in the long run. So definitely worth looking into just bringing your own food and bringing your own snacks, 100%. But yeah, Iceland, epic adventure for sure. The weather was insane. Every day was something different.
Mm-hmm.
It was sunny. It rained. It poured on us. It snowed a few times. It sleeted on us. The wind, I had never felt wind like that ever in my life. Nearly getting blown over. Um, but I can leave Iceland saying that we experienced Iceland. We really
100%.
did. I was telling you, if it was sunny every day, I'd be like, that was awesome, but we didn't really experience Iceland, really. That's not real. That doesn't
Yeah.
happen. Um, there are definitely things that I wish we could have done along our path and beyond our path. I really would love to have seen more of Iceland, especially around the Ring Road, and to go even more east and north. There's some beautiful places up north as well. But yeah, it was awesome. I'm so glad I got to experience that with you. I know I had been there before, but it was a completely different experience. One with you, two on our honeymoon, and
Mm-hmm.
three just having a car. It just felt completely different. We felt in
Yeah.
control. We stopped where we wanted to stop. We
It
went
was
where
super easy to navigate,
it was.
driving wise.
It was.
I highly recommend if you're ever worried about driving in a foreign country, this is probably, even though you can't read the roads, uh,
The names,
just know where you got to go and it's easy to follow. Our car even had GPS built into it. So
which is
that was
recommended.
also
Recommended for sure.
awesome. Um,
Recommended for sure.
really, really easy to navigate the country. So don't, but watch out for speed traps. That was one thing. They are very conscious about the speed limit, and it's not that they have like patrol officers, but they have cameras and speed trap like cameras. So that's one thing to note. You don't want to get a ticket in the mail months later from your rental agency that you got a speeding ticket. So just be
Still
mindful of
hoping
that. I love,
hoping that
remember
doesn't
when we were
happen.
driving and they have the if you're speeding, it's a frowny face, and if you're going the speed limit, it's a smiley face.
That was great. Yeah, so it's like in America where you just see like the numbers like flashing that you're going over. It's a frown face if you're going too
You were
fast.
like, did this sign just frown at me? Like, pretty sure it did.
It's pretty great. Honestly, when you look back and think of it, like Iceland is like it's great. Like the people there are super friendly. They're happy to see you. They all speak English, so
Yeah.
don't be super concerned about
We met
that.
a few Icelandic people. I know they say like when you go to Iceland, you're not really going to meet anyone from Iceland, but I think we met like three people in the tourism industry that actually was from Iceland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed Iceland. Like I said, I know I don't want to talk too much about Italy. We have that podcast coming out soon in the future. The people in Iceland, I might get the edge a little bit over
I'm
the people in
not
Italy.
going to disagree with you.
It was awesome. Iceland was great. We came, we saw, we conquered. We
Mhm.
did it right. Would I go back? Yeah, honestly, I'd go back a third time. There's still
Summer.
more. There's still more. It's in the summer. I want to see everything green. There's still more there. I want to see, but there's more in the world that we need to see ourselves and need to
Hmm.
accomplish. But yeah, 100%. Iceland's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a great time. You never know what you're going to get. So, all right. With that said, we appreciate you listening to our adventures in Iceland honeymoon part one. Soon enough, we will have honeymoon part two in Italy, which was twice as long, crazier. That was a week ago. We are still exhausted, but that was one of a kind too. So stay on the lookout for that. We hope you enjoyed you listening to this episode. It was amazing. We loved it, and we know we just try to give you as many travel tips and advice as we possibly can. We learned a lot from these trips, especially Iceland. So hopefully, pass it on to you. So share this episode with friends, family. It means a lot. And yeah, we'll wrap it up right here, Kristen. I appreciate you joining me for this episode.
Yeah. No problem.
All right, we'll see you all soon.